Okay, I have to ask you guys an honest question. When did healing become a supervillain origin story? Because every time I open social media, someone's telling me to become colder, to be careless, to cut everyone off, and it's like,
why are we doing this?
every time I open social media, I'm getting bombarded with messages like,
cut everyone off, do not talk to anyone, do not contact anyone, care less, be, a more colder and distant person.
look, having boundaries is healthy, but somewhere along the way, healing literally started looking like an emotional isolation. You honestly do not need a villain arc. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Claire, also known as Clarity, and here in my channel, you'll gain a little bit more clarity in every single one of my videos. Being hurt does not automatically make you wiser. I think people quickly associate the fact that if you were hurt before, you're going to become wiser. But that's not exactly how it works. For you to become wiser from the situation, you would have to analyze what happened to you and learn with the situation for you to become wiser. People confuse pain with growth a lot, and I see that a lot on the internet nowadays. Some people get heartbroken one time and decide that they're Batman, that they will never talk to anyone again, that they will literally live in a freaking mountain, isolated from the whole world. Honey, that's not how it works, okay? Basically, you're going to analyze the situation and ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? And that's how you become wiser.
You're not just gonna get heartbroken and suddenly you're gonna become Albert Einstein. That's not how it works.
Do not ever let people redesign your personality. What I mean by this is, I see a lot of people who go through heartbreak, for example, and they start to think like, hey, I will never be happy again and stuff like that. That's very sad, okay? The saddest thing that I see on the internet is when someone gets hurt and they start to think, I'll never trust anyone again, I'll never be happy again, I'll never care again, I'll never like be vulnerable around people again. That's very sad. And also that tells me that you're allowing the person who hurt you to still control you. The person that supposedly left your life, they are still in control of you because you're allowing them to decide how you act. So just because a person hurt you, you are like, I'm never going to be vulnerable around anyone again. I'm never going to care again. I'm never going to be happy again. That's not true. Why should one bad experience get to decide who you become? The goal is to protect your heart, not build a prison around it. Kindness is not a weakness, okay? Oh my gosh, listen. I see this so much. Why do people act like being kind means being weak? Like, if you're kind, you're vulnerable, you're weak. No, that's so not true. You can be a nice person and still have boundaries. You can be soft and smart at the same time, okay? You can say no and be nice. You can be an empathetic, a kind, a compassionate person and still have boundaries, okay? You can be kind and you can be strong at the same time. You can be loving and you can still be protected. Society and the internet makes us think that now you have to be, if you want to protect yourself, you're gonna have to be mean, cold, distant, rude.
Says who, bro?
See, there was another day that I was talking to a friend of mine and she was like, Claire, what do I do? Like, I need to, have more boundaries and stuff. She asked me this question. She said, should I be a more cold or a more rude person? And she was worried because she's a very nice person. She's a very kind person at heart. She's very compassionate. She's one of those really sweet people. And she was worried because she was like, I don't want to, change myself just to say no and just to have boundaries. And I told her, like, you don't have to change yourself in the way you are just to be respected. You can be a nice person. You can be a kind person. You can have a heart. You can be compassionate and still say no and still have boundaries and still be that type of person that's like, hey, I love you, yeah, but no, you are not going to cross these boundaries. And that's it. You can be a kind person and still say no. We don't talk about it enough. It's true. You don't have to be a mean person to be protected and to have boundaries and just say no. You do not need to become colder. You do not need to become harder. You do not need a villain arc, okay? You just need enough courage to stay true to yourself in a world that tells you to shut down. Don't let the people who hurt you decide who you become, okay? I know that's really hard because honestly, we're humans, so it's natural for us to allow people around us and things around us to affect us negatively, but that doesn't have to be who you are, okay? That doesn't have to be who you become. Just because someone dumped you or just because someone toxic entered your life and ruined it or something does not mean that has to decide who you become from now on. You decide who you become from now on, not the bad thing that happened to you 2 weeks ago, not the thing that person said last year, like not that thing that happened to you yesterday. You decide who you become from now on, not your bad experiences, the negative things that happened in your life. Look at me, like, I'm sorry, but bro, I've been through so much and I still struggle so much, okay? I struggle a lot with my mental health, but every single day I tell myself that it doesn't matter what happened in my life, it doesn't matter what I'm struggling with, I choose who I become. And if I have to restart every single morning, that's what I'm gonna do, but I'm not gonna allow a negative situation or a traumatic experience or just struggling in general to make me a bitter person. I refuse. I'm sorry. I refuse to be a bitter person. And it's so easy for you to become the bad person. It's so easy for you to become that bitter, cold person. It's super easy. It's not easy to keep going, bro. It's not easy to continue, especially if you're someone who went through a lot of trauma or you had a lot of struggles in your life or whatever it is. It's not easy to keep going. It's not easy to get up every morning and say, I'm going to restart. I don't care how many times, I'm going to keep going. That's not easy. If I was lazy, I would have given up by now. But I do not want to be that person. I do not even want to allow myself to be that person. So I won't even give myself that option. In the snap of fingers, I could look back into my life and be like, hey, look at all these bad things that happened to me. I'm going to be a bad person too. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to hurt someone. It's so easy for me to do that, but I'm not going to. I refuse to be that person. I don't want to do that. That's not who I want to become. And so, it doesn't matter how much times I have to restart. I'm going to keep going, bro. And you should too, and that's life, you know? The question for this week is, do you think that healing, and I want you guys to respond truthfully, okay, in the comments down below. Do you think healing made you a wiser, softer, or harder person? Comment down below and tell me your experience. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope that next week can be a wonderful week for you all. Thanks so much for watching my video. Bye!
Bye-bye!